Like this video and subscribe to our channel, or else some genius kid will steal your job. Unless you want that. Kids are our future in more ways than one, and it's surprising how often they can be smarter than the adults who look after them. Throughout history, children have been thinking of new ways to improve our lives, and sometimes they have even fundamentally changed the way we live. This has also led to them becoming immensely rich in the process, so that is why we are counting down the top 10 inventions by children that made billions. Believe us, you'll be amazed at just what kinds of products and ideas have been invented by kids young enough to be in elementary school, so stick around to the end of the video to find out what. Number 10. Christmas lights. If you've ever found yourself on the roof of your house putting up hundreds of multicolored lights on a cold December night, then you have Albert Sadaka to thank. Until the 1910s, families celebrating Christmas would rely on candles for their Yuletide glow in their homes. But after an accident in 1917, when a Christmas tree in New York City caught fire, 15-year-old Albert thought maybe electric lights were the way to go. Electric lights had been invented beforehand, but they were incredibly expensive. If you wanted to light up a Christmas tree before 1903, you would have to pay $2,000 in today's cash. You could spend that money on presents instead. Albert created strands of lights that were efficient but affordable, and through the Noma Electric Company, which he founded with his family, he became the king of luminescent Christmas ornaments up until the 1960s. Noma made millions of dollars for Sadaka and his family, and you can still buy Noma brand lights to this day, which customers agree are still the best of the best. Number 9. Popsicles. Let's go from cold December to red hot July as we eat a delicious popsicle while sunbathing on a beach in the Bahamas. No one in the world doesn't like popsicles, and if it wasn't for one precocious 11-year-old, then you'd have to settle for ice cream. All the way back in 1905, Frank Epperson was playing with his friends when he went to have a sip of ice-cold soda. It literally was ice cold, as his stirring stick got frozen inside a big block of soda. Rather than throwing it away, Frank licked the soda on a stick and came up with a brilliant idea. Frank kept the idea to himself for years until he had his own children, who called this ice-cold concoction a popsicle, since it was an icicle made by their pop. Frank patented the idea in 1923 and became a money-making entrepreneur soon after. Today, around 2 billion popsicles are sold worldwide. It's close to $4 for a box of 18, so that's well over $400 million being made every year. And all thanks to a kid who left his soda out in the cold a little too long. Talk about a happy accident. Number 8. Earmuffs. Imagine that it's 1873 and you're skating out on a frozen lake. Your ears are getting really cold and you don't have a woolly hat. Don't worry, Chester Greenwood is here to help you out. At just 15 years old, Chester was getting tired of frostbite on his ears, so he decided to take 2 beaver skins and connect them through a wire frame he could wear over his head. Voila! You have the world's first pair of earmuffs. At 19, he patented the idea, and at 25, he had his own factory out in Farmington, Maine, producing 50,000 pairs a year. For 6 decades, Chester kept his town in employment, so not only was he making an absolute fortune, but he was helping out the community that raised him too. By the time of his death in 1937, his factory had boosted productivity to 400,000 pairs a year. Hopefully, they stopped using beavers by then. Number 7. Wristies. Time for a more modern invention now, and like earmuffs, these are to keep your body warm. Don't you wish you could wear a pair of gloves that cover your entire arm? Well, Wristies do just that. Catherine K.K. Gregory invented the Wristies in 1994 when she had this exact same problem growing up in Bedford, Massachusetts. She made a pair just for herself, but her scout troop liked them so much they encouraged her to make more. Before she knew it, she applied for a patent and started her own company all at 10 years old. She became the youngest person to appear on QVC to sell her new product, and she made $22,000 in just 6 minutes of being on the show. Now Wristies are sold worldwide and are making KK a whole lot more than just $22,000. At just 24, she's now the CEO of her own company and has used the vast wealth Wristies have made to graduate from university and travel the world. She was born to be an entrepreneur. Number 6. Swim fins. If you're a scuba diver or just love to go swimming, then there's one man you should thank, Benjamin Franklin. That's right, before he became a founding father and got his face put on the $100 bill, he invented swim fins at the tender age of 11 years old. However, plastic hadn't been invented in the 1700s, so the earliest swim flippers were actually wooden panels worn on your hands, not your feet. Obviously, wearing wooden panels on your hands or feet while swimming will cause a lot of pain after a while, so Franklin eventually abandoned them. Swim fins as we know them today are thanks to Louis de Corlou, a Frenchman who who worked with divers in the French Navy during World War I. They were perfected by World War II and went on to revolutionize swimming forever. Nowadays, there's a lucrative market for swim fins, fetching prices up to $215 per pair. Combine this with the market research showing a steadily increasing demand for swim fins, turning it into a billion-dollar industry, and before you know it, everyone will have a pair in the next decade. If it wasn't for an 11-year-old Benjamin Franklin, there may be a whole host of people who'd never know what it's like to swim with the fishes. Number 5. Making bacon. You probably didn't think kids were this smart before clicking on the video, did you? Prepare to have your mind blown even more by sticking around to the end of the video. There's nothing like a couple slices of bacon for breakfast, but what about when it gets too greasy and you have to soak it all up with kitchen paper? 8-year-old Abby Fleck had the bright idea of hanging her bacon on a rack so that fat would drip into a pan before she ate it. This clever idea would go on to become the Makin' Bacon cooking plate. Abby became a minor celebrity for a while in 1993, but even better was becoming a millionaire before she even started high school. Makin' Bacon trays have sold nearly 3 million units worldwide, grossing $800,000 in 2016 alone. Extend that kind of money making over nearly 30 years, and we've got enough money to buy all the bacon in the world. Number 4. Snowmobile. We've had a lot of wintry inventions on the list so far, so let's keep that momentum going with our number 4 spot. Joseph Armand Bombardier was a 15-year-old Quebec native who knew what it was like to live with blizzards and constant snowy weather better than anyone. In 1922, he attached a Model T Ford engine to 4Runners with a propeller on the back and created the prototype for the snowmobile. It didn't get very far before Joseph Armand was told to dismantle the machine, but he perfected the idea until 1959 when the Skidoo, the world's first ultralight snowmobile, was born. Since then, nearly 124,000 snowmobiles are sold each year worldwide, and there are over 1 million registered snowmobiles in the USA alone. The snowmobiling industry makes $26 billion annually in the USA, whilst the worldwide annual gross is over $40 billion. More than enough money to fly you out of the snow to your own private island in the Caribbean for an early retirement. Number 3. Superman. Comic books are sometimes dismissed as being just for kids, so it only makes sense that the first modern superhero was created by two 19-year-olds all the way back in 1933. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster attended Glenville High School in Cleveland, Ohio, when they bonded over their love of writing, illustrating, and sci-fi. Throughout the early 1930s, they workshopped the idea of Superman from a bald-headed megalomaniac to a benevolent alien from outer space, until finally, in 1938, Action Comics #1 was printed, with a now iconic cover of Superman thwarting some evildoers with a car. Superman pretty much kicked off the superhero genre as we know it. And if you've been to a movie theater in the past 10 years, you'll know that there always seems to be a new superhero film out. The combined box office gross of Superman's last 3 movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, is just over $2 billion. If we combine this with the money made from comic book sales and merchandise over the past 80 years, then we are looking at an incalculably large figure. It just goes to show how much a kid can do if you give them a pen and paper. Number 2. Braille. If you know someone who is blind, then they might be interested to discover that the man behind those little dots they read was only 15 years old when he created them. Louis Braille was blinded at age 3 and devised an alphabet consisting of raised bumps in 1824. Before then, blind people could only read text with raised letters, which must have been a nightmare. Nowadays, it's incredibly easy for blind people to have access to all sorts of written materials thanks to Braille. Louis wasn't the only child inventor to help the blind. In 2014, 13-year-old Shabam Banerjee invented a Braille printer out of Lego that cost the buyer $200, way cheaper than the $2,000 most people were paying for the alternative. The lesson here is to get all your Lego blocks together and see if you can make the next billion-dollar invention. Number 1. Trampoline. Time to bounce our way to the number 1 spot with one of the all-time essential toys for our backyard. In 1930, George Nissen was 16 years old when he took a metal frame, placed a canvas over the top, and created what he called a bouncing ring. We know them better as trampolines. Over time, trampolines went from being a novelty item to becoming a widely accepted sport and gymnastic activity. In America, trampoline sales constantly exceed over 500,000 per year, and the chances are that you and I have both been on one at least once in our lives. Trampoline parks have sprung up all over the world in recent years and have been known to make as much as $780,000 per year. Just goes to show that trampolines aren't just super fun to jump on for some, they're also a lucrative income stream. Did we miss any inventions on the list? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and remember, you always have a choice. Choose luxury anytime.